I'm here today with Mr. Ion Tiriac, a towering figure of the tennis world. He was winner at Roland Garros alongside with Ilie Năstase, his friend, in 1970, and he also won 40 titles. In addition, the two of them won other major tournaments on circuit together. He was part of Romania's Davis Cup team from 1969 to 1978, playing 3 finals against the United States. And for all his performances, he was awarded Master Emeritus in Sport, one of the very few. Ion Tiriac was the first Romanian to enter the Forbes list of the world's billionaires. His fortune is estimated in 2023 at $2 billion. He runs a company with businesses in real estate, cars, financial services, and a lot more. And he owns a collection of cars and motorbikes, comprising more than 350 models, many of which belonged to personalities such as Sir Elton John, the Duchess of Kent, or historic personalities. And today, Mr. Tiriac celebrates 10 years of Tiriac collection. Thank you very much for having us and according us this interview. Good day.
Thank you very much for coming.
So 10 years of Tiriac collection and a life passion of cars. Am I right?
Well, the passion of cars started about 65 years ago. That was when I was a very young student, and I don't know how. Don't ask me how, because I cannot even explain today. I could buy a Skoda Octavia, those days, 1960. You know, and being a young student, I was, in the communist times, something that was unique to have a car that was completely new. When my chief of university had an old Pobeda, a 20-year-old that was puffing smoke all over and most of the time staying in garage. The connection between human being, an engine and vehicles and motors and so on, it's since they were invented in the 1800s. And for that reason, slowly, first of all, when the time passed and I had the possibilities, the economical possibilities, I start not collecting, but buying some old cars, because the old cars made an impression to me much more than the new ones.
Why?
And from one day to another, I arrived today with almost 400 cars, with a collection that is visited by thousands and thousands and thousands people, and I like it very much, and I like not so much to show it, but to have, particularly because we have a program for children, and that it's thousands of children a week that we take from schools in our buses, that we have specially made for this. We bring them to the collection for 2-3 hours, and then we take them back and so on.
But this passion for the cars, is it a love story or is it an investment, a business story?
No, I was not intelligent enough, A, and B, I didn't have enough time. Those days when could have been a huge business, because particularly historical cars, they multiply almost by 100 in the last 50 years. So there are a lot of collectors that they did it for business and so on. No, I did it because I like it. And I never bought a car considering that I buy it with $10 today, but tomorrow I can sell it with 50 or something like that. No, I bought it because I like the car. And I bought it because I thought that looks nice, and even I can use it. Most of the time, I couldn't use it because I had to do so many repairs and reconstruction and everything else that is becoming a nightmare. It's becoming a nightmare. I have 30 people working and only reconsidering, redoing the cars day and night, and really to do a proper car of 1935, to go to Pebble Beach with it, it takes years and years of work.
Does it have air condition?
Excuse me?
Does it have air condition?
Oh, yes.
It does?
Yeah.
I was hearing the story of a bad business that you didn't do, and you didn't listen to the first James Bond. Can you tell us?
What is correct, and you know, you go to universities, you go to Harvard, you go to London School of Economics, or to Stanford, to wherever it is. That's good for education, is good. But sports, and particularly tennis, it's a university that you cannot compare it with anything. And in those 20 years of your sport life, you meet more presidents and people than you ever dream being a Stanford or a Harvard student. And those days are going to be remembered in your curriculum and in your life only as good are you going to be in your second life. What that means? That means that an athlete, doesn't matter, a tennis player, a football player, a basketball player, at one time, he said, enough is enough. So I have to stop because I had my 20 years of sports or 10 years of sports and it's enough. And you start the second life, the real life. Now, when you are an athlete, particularly a well-appreciated athlete, everybody loves you. Loves you today, but tomorrow, after you stop, always is going to be another athlete that he jumps higher, he runs faster, or he hits a tennis ball harder. But if on the second life, you are respected for what you are going to do with your first life and become not necessarily a businessman, but a telecaster, coach, or anything, and it's not. So saying that, coming back to this collection, coming that to business, coming that to the second life, I was always privileged, and I had the benefit of living in Romania, but having the right to travel. And I saw the life from United States, Germany, Italy, and so on, the Western life. And I could compare it with the Eastern life. It's not correct that everything that was in the communist time was bad. No, education was much harder than it is today. Sensational school, sport for free, and so on. Yes, you didn't have the benefit, the most normal things to travel or drive through information. But, how I say, I was privileged, and I learned from both sides. And for that reason, I had to make my road myself, with not very much help from left, right, or middle.
I have today with me a book that you wrote in the 70s, and it is like a manual for young tennis players or future tennis players. And I put here a question that I wanted to ask you last, but
Please.
I think it fits better now. You're saying something like this. Before a match at the lockers, somebody, you don't name that person, is saying, even if you lose, you fought enough. And this made you mad. And this you consider not to be correct. And you said in the book, I don't think that I've ever heard less appropriate words. Why is that?
Well, let's put it the other way around. What I'm saying is that in the moment you take your right to lose a tennis match or to lose an event or something like that, then you take your life to progress. You always are going to invent something why you lost. No, you lost that you're not good enough. And tomorrow you should try to be one hair better than today. And with that reason, and that's what I thought, not so much only when I used to be an athlete, but if I did something good in my life, and I am very, very arrogant and that, I was a great tennis coach. You know, everybody talks now for coaches and so on and so forth. What is a coach? No. A coach is a guy that takes a child, 12, 13-year-old, and for 5, 6, 7 years, he works every single day with that human being to make him the champion of the world, to win a Wimbledon or a French Open or a Davis Cup or the Masters or something there. And in my life, from Nastase to Vilas, from Vilas to Becker, from Becker to maybe Safin Ivanisevic and all these guys, Bobo Živojinovic, the Serb, they are all my children. I took them when they were babies, and I brought them all the way up. And I already told them, it's not a disaster to lose. No. You learn much more from a loss that you learn from a win. And that's what that book is all about.
Yes, but on the other hand, all youngsters and all professionals then want to win. What is the main asset that you think is the most important for winning?
It's different for me. If you ask somebody else, if you ask Nastase.
No, but I know I
Nastase is going to tell, yes, I'm an artist, I play, I was not a painter, but, and it is true. Nastase was the biggest artist in the game of tennis. If somebody deserves a monument in the world of tennis, it's Nastase. Nastase took the tennis game from the country club and bring it in the stadium for the people. He was the first guy. So saying that, for me, it's only work. That's what I did all my life. You know, repetition, 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 repetition. If you don't have that dedication, you don't have it in your mind that you could do much more than the others and sacrifice any other pleasures that are around for your target, and that's what you want to do. And I call it dedication. That's what you have to do. If you ever want to win a Wimbledon or Olympic Games or whatever. And I remember, I have a good friend that, in my opinion, was the best sportsman, athlete of the world, Daley Thompson, decathlon. Ion, if Frank Dick, my coach, tells me to crawl over broken ice because that's going to make me better, I will do that. So that's the reason that an athlete, if he wants to do that thing in a very short period of time, yes, these days you have to start at 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old.
But it's an age you don't recommend.
No, but 7-year-old, you already know that if you are going to do it or not. The life changed, the society changed, our globe has changed altogether. You are going to see in the next 10, 20 years that a child cannot remember seeing an ox carrying the carriage or an animal jumping the fence, or I am a passionate hunter, not a killer, a hunter. Probably I have about 60 safaris in Africa. Right now, compared with 20, 30 years ago, they are not even half of the animals that they used to be those days. So the society changes, the sports. It's an unbelievable educational activity. The sport is teaching you to lose and to accept winning with some modesty and to be humble in your life. Doesn't matter how good you are. There are other ones that are going to be better, and you just have to accept that.
Which is your biggest win?
I couldn't hear you.
Which one is your biggest win? And your biggest loss?
I think which one was my bigger loss? 3 times the final of the Davis Cup. We were a better team than the Americans. Nastase was already #1 in the world, and we couldn't make it. For me, that was a bigger loss than for Nastase, because Nastase was a better player than I was, winning Wimbledon, French Open, #1 in the world, and so on and so on. In the rest, that I won French Open, yes, it's a title. Of course, it's a title of that, and so on and so on. But probably my biggest win was when I was #1 in Romania, and I won the Romanian national championship when I was 19. You know, that's what I remember, that at that time, being the #1 in my nation was a big thrill to me, a big victory.
How did you feel it at that time?
I cannot remember because, first of all, my coming to tennis was an accident, actually.
Yes.
You know, I started tennis when I was 15.
16 already.
When other people, they give it up a long time before that and so on. At that time, I was a decent ice hockey player at 15. I was almost in the squad of the Olympic team and so on and so on. And I was a good player at table tennis. And because the tennis team in my city, Brașov, didn't have a junior, one day they saw me taking the racket from half here and giving balls back to somebody because his partner didn't came. I say, how long you play tennis? I say, about 5 minutes or so. I say, yeah, but you know how to hit the tennis ball. No, I know how to hit any ball. I mean, football being everything. I play rugby, I play football, I play volley, I play handball, I play everything. In those days, sport and life was a normal life. We went to school until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. From 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we did sports. And the teacher was staying with us, the sport teacher, another 4 hours, overtime. Not being paid, of course, for overtime. But that was life at that time. And that time was right after the war. Huh? I mean, I am old enough to remember the Second World War. So saying that was not easy times in the 50s, particularly in a country like Romania, who changed completely from a kingdom to a communist country and so on. But then again, I don't regret any single day of my life. I was more fortunate than the others, maybe, or I work harder than the others.
You know, maybe a lot of people ask you how, after winning from tennis, you conducted your business and you are now one of the wealthiest persons in Romania. And what is the secret for that?
I don't know. I mean, being rich. Actually, I remember when I was the first time rich in my life. The first time I was rich in my life when I entered a restaurant and I didn't look at the prices of the menu. No, it's serious. It's serious. Because in my times, after playing 4 or 5 hours training with Nastase, with Italian Panata, with the Dominguez, with Orantes, Santana, all these guys, then we put on the table, Nastase, put $1 on the table. Yo, I don't have any money, you know how it is. Panata, okay, I'm rich as $2 and so. And for 8 people, we took 4 pizzas. We split it in 2 and we eat 4 pizzas for 8 people. was there not today that the loser at the US Open or at the Wimbledon takes 70,000 for losing in the first round? Yes. Coubertin is gone. What Coubertin say, important is to participate, not to win. That's done. Today, everything is business in sport. Everything is professional. And we have to accept that. And we have to accept that sport makes the world happier than before. And sports can bring people together. I will never forget Mandela. Mandela had a privilege, I consider a privilege, to meet him twice in my life. And I had to chat with him and so on and so forth. And was a man of one kind, of a human being. And say, Ion, sports can bring people together. Sports can take together and so on. And it's true. I used to be the president of the Olympic Committee in Romania, and in, I think it was Sydney, in 2000, Olympic Games, and the opening, the North Korea came out with the South Korea together. The 20,000 people clapped for half an hour. You know, so look at the things today. Look at the things today. Friction here, friction there, war here, war there, and so on and so on. So sports, it's important. Particularly in the young generation, the sport makes you spend your time for health and science, because it teaches you much more than doing all the tablets and just looking on the telephone and IT and so on. Yeah, it's important. But I told you, the world changes. The life has changed. The human being changed. The children are completely different.
But what is the solution for children to go and play tennis? In Romania?
You have to ask somebody more intelligent than I am.
Or in Europe?
I don't have it. I don't have it, but it's very unfortunate that today you see things like Putin cannot sit down with Zelensky, or what is his name,
yes.
there. Put him in that room here, in one room.
We need a very long table.
Don't let him get out for a week, for a month. I don't care how much they beat each other. But when they came out, it's finished. Instead of being hundreds of thousands of deaths and so on and so on.
Yes, but you know that the first condition to solve a conflict is for both parts to want to solve it.
I think that there are too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many people try to come with the ideas and do that. I think that when it's a conflict between two parts, let them solve their conflicts alone. Because otherwise, we are complicated and we drive ourselves into a monster of problem. I hope I am wrong. And I don't want to talk politics. I hate politics. Thanks God I never touched politics in my country, because I was not tempted, but I was pushed many, many times to take politics. No, thank you.
Why not?
Because probably, how can you say, I was not courageous enough.
You think it's about courage?
Responsibility for 20 million. No. And I'm not a human being to make compromises all over. One hand washes the other and so on. No. No, and that's politics. Even today. Doesn't matter if it's United States, Russia, Germany, Romania, or Congo. That's life. You have to compensate things that they cannot be obtained with other means.
But in this context, how do you see Europe today? Because you've seen it for a long time. And today, maybe it has a new challenge. It is between two wars and is facing new elections. and an extremist uprising?
The only thing I see here, because I travel exactly how I traveled the last 60 years, every week.
This is
I
great.
live in the aeroplane. And the only thing I see in Europe is that with all the sanctions that we spent to Russia and so on, we suffer. We eat those sanctions now, instead of trying to push, obligate those two nations to come to a table. Because it's easy, because we obligate them. The Americans, the United States obligate them, and so on, came to the table, both of you, and solved it somehow. But then again, we are here not to discuss politics.
I'm coming back to tennis.
Please.
But I want to ask you about another conflict, because I'm very, very interested in what you have to say. Simona Halep is again delayed to go and take her position at TAS. And I have seen that it took almost a year for Mr. Muratoglu to finally say that it was his fault. Do you think at this time we are looking at a sabotage case, or he destroyed her career? How do you see the point now?
In the 2010, when I was president of the Olympic Committee, I was very friendly with Samaranch, the president of IOC at that time. And Samaranch chose me in those 5 guys that they were supposed to finally construct WADA, the Organization Against Doping and so on. Doping is not a sport problem. It's a social problem. The drug is a social problem. It has to be resolved by politicians first, not in sports and so on. Particularly Halep. Don't tell me, please. I know a little bit Halep. But don't tell me that a tennis player, 32-year-old, that is negative Friday, is positive Monday, with 0.02 of some product that might be in or might be out of this and that, and she's waiting for 1.5 years now to see what it is. Invention. It's not only the positive. Look at her blood. When? In July last year, excuse me, what have you done for 9 months, 6 months? You come today with that thing out. So look on the back and say, who covers what? Halep made only one mistake. The moment somebody says something, she has to say, don't talk to me. Talk to my team. Those are responsible that give me the drink on the court when I practice and everything else. Since 15-year-old until now 32, I did 1,555 checks and so on. Not everything is white or black, I agree with you. But I can tell you, with the hand on the Bible, that from time to time, it's unfair and unjust and illegal what they do. I give you an example who was known all around the world. Olympics of 2000. When I became president, a year before that, the first thing I did, I catch an athlete positive for life, not 2 years. He's never going to represent my country. I could do that. I could do that. Samaranch, you want to be careful because you know Brussels and US Senate 2 years. I don't care. I don't care. I told all my people, clean your drawers. Do what has to be done because otherwise you're gone. 2 days were difficult times. As the president of Romanian Olympic Committee for the preparing year 99, my budget was $300,000 for a country of 20 million people, and 150 athletes qualify for the Olympics. Romania won 26 medals. In Sydney, 14 gold. Gymnastics didn't exist for women but Romania. Okay. I had by far the best athlete at that, Răducanu.
Yes.
Andreea Răducanu. Silver, gold, gold. Silver, gold, gold. Negative, negative. Negative. Positive next day.
It was a shock for everybody.
It is positive next day. Why? Well, you see, she declared that she had taken a Nurofen. Yeah, but the International Federation says it's not on the list. Doesn't matter, I took 16 that day. We all had cold. But that's not the matter. That's not the matter. Before the Olympics, I was the only president that in my checks that IOC paid because I didn't have money to pay them, I discovered an athlete that was positive, and I made a press conference telling he's not sick, he's not other, no, he's a crook, he's positive, home forever. First time ever. Okay. Okay, if somebody is positive, he's positive. But how can she be positive when she was negative, 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 positive? For the Nurofen, you see that. So the TAS, the famous TAS, that's now Simona has to go to TAS, is a rule that at the Olympics, the same day, the next day, they have to judge you.
Yes.
And at 6 o'clock in the evening, they have to give a judgment. I had 6 lawyers, 2 institutes, all of them, International Federation. For us, it's completely correct. No penalty, no. Wouldn't have made any difference because gold, silver, bronze was Romania. So take the gold from one, give it to the other, but that doesn't matter. But
it mattered to them.
And she was good for another 2 golds
yes.
after that.
Yes, true.
Sitting there with all the lawyers and everything, and I have at home 1 page, 1 copy of those papers, official papers, where they was declared positive. I found a miracle. A miracle. And I stopped I said, Mrs. President was a lady. Mr. Tiriac, you cannot talk, you have lawyers. I said, lady, Ceausescu told me not to talk for 50 years, and I did. And so I have 1,000 people, journalists, you want to bring them in? Have you read the papers? What I tell you, because the Solomon judgment is only in the Bible. For me, it was not good, it was not fair, and the people were not correct. TAS was not correct. I discovered that 62 milligrams of urine that night at 2 o'clock in the morning. She said from 10 to 2, she couldn't do more. And 7 people have signed that is correct, only 62, let her go. They went to the laboratory, 62, and 100 came back. How is that possible?
Yes.
What is the miracle that came back? Who manipulated it? Oh, we stop. I said, lady, it's 4 o'clock, you stop. But at 6 o'clock, let's go home. The proof was manipulated, and here is the papers. No, we come back next day at 3 o'clock, they give me a judgment. Yes, the medal, it's away, goes to another Romanian, but she can compete. It's exactly with Simona. Waiting now for what? For a year more? Because it's not what they have to do. It is or is not. And why they didn't ask the team first, right? Legally, come at the table, because they have a responsibility, a team that is paid, and so on and so on. But then Simona was too attached to the team, her merit, but coming back, it's unfortunate, and it's almost the sacrifice of her life to keep somebody, 33-year-old, out of the game for a year and a half. That means it's death penalty, usually. She's training every day, I understand, and so on, but it's completely unfair. Unfair from all this organization. What can I do? That's the reason I didn't want to be in any of these organizations. When Samaranch was the president, then I consider even today, did him a favor and made WADA and made this, made that. But that's it. And then I even resigned after Athens.
Do you think that she can come back? She can restart her career?
Yeah. For how long? A lady is not such a longevity as a man in sports. I think that rarely you see a lady at 35, 36 still playing, particular and very competitive game, you know. So I wish him all the best, but life is life.
If we have some more minutes, may I please ask you one more thing?
One more thing.
One more thing. There is an image in this book with you stopping the car and playing with some children in Periș, which is a very, very small part of Romania. And I was asking you, what might be the trigger for children to go and play tennis? In Australia, 1 of 5 children are playing tennis. Mm-hmm. In Romania, I don't know the statistics, but it's not 1 of 5.
Well, I give you an answer very much in the statistics. When I started playing tennis in 1955, 5th of May 1955, at that time in Romania, there were about 300, 400, 500 tennis players. That's all, and about 100, 200, 300 tennis courts. When I finished with my career, mainly I finished it in 72 after the third final of the Davis Cup, there were about 250,000 players and about 100,000 tennis courts. When Na Li, the Chinese, won French Open, 3 months after, in China, there were 10 million children more playing tennis. And the result, there are about 7, 8 Chinese girls in the top 100. So it's mathematical. A megastar has a lot of responsibility, even if he doesn't know it. You know, the position of the megastar, it's very, very important in this world. And for me, I have to be careful what I'm saying now. The biggest tennis player of this moment is by far Nadal. Because Nadal is a guy that stays with the feet on the ground. He is modest, he is humble, he's a big champion, big human being. There are a lot of very good players, but being a champion is different.
But at Tiriac Academy, could it happen in Romania?
Oh yes, yes. Not only that, I am in the way of my foundation doing that, the academy doing a huge stadium of 15,000 people, and doing the Nadia Comaneci gymnastic hall to come back to gymnastic because we disappeared from the map. We disappeared from the map. In year 2000, I had 40 countries in this world. They had Romanian coaches on the national teams of gymnastic. Now I don't have a coach in Romania. So I do that. I do the swimming pool of Camelia Potec for children. If you do, how you call that? The stuff where the beans are coming for the honey, you know?
Yes.
The beans are there, all of that. If you do something, and I have an ice hockey rink here, and I have ice hockey teams from 4-year to 6-year. Ice hockey players, from 6 to 8, from 8 to 10. I have 3,000 children in that ice hockey rink. Figure out if Romania would have 1,000 of those ice hockey rinks. We have been again what we were in the 60s, one of the top teams in Europe. In Bucharest, I am the only ice hockey rink, ice hockey stadium, at a population of 4 million. That's not normal.
And why is it important?
We have to invest in sports.
Yeah, why is it important to do that?
I don't know. I tried to do it, I did it. My old guys in that ice hockey team at 12-year-old are almost the champions of Romanian juniors in 5 years.
Yes, but
so
why?
Figure out, but it's only one. With one flower, you don't make a spring.
And why is it important to make the spring? Why is it important for a country?
Because the politicians, they have to understand that sport, it's health, it's education, and it's life. Sport, education, life. If a child makes sports, he doesn't need medication. He doesn't need medicine because he's healthy. He's going to learn much more with his sports than he's learning in school. That's what I think. Making sport children garden, that would be the idea. 1 day, 1 hour inside, 1 hour outside. Doesn't matter, it's raining, it's cold, it's this. That's life. You have to face life. Thank you for...
I thank you. And I very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.